So love is a universal force that binds us together in the most profound ways. And in my understanding, love has the power to transform our lives in the most interesting, fascinating, and magnificent way. Whether it is romantic love, self love, um, familial love, agape love. I mean, there are different aspects of love, right? And we could go on and on and on about the different kinds of love. But regardless of whatever the love is, these different aspects of love are important because we need to understand how to cultivate them. Because once we are able to cultivate the different aspects of love and apply them in the most amazing way from a place of understanding and knowing, then we can achieve some really incredible outcomes. So, joining us today is smart sister Yuliana, who will be demystifying love, religious trauma, ancestral karma, and some other good stuff. So, you got to wait for the rest. Okay. Welcome, Yuliana. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for that introduction. I actually have been getting so much channel messages about love in general. And one of the things that it has started was right before the lunar, this full moon in the lunar eclipse. And it was a lot of like intense transmuting all your pain, transmuting all of your karma, that inner child ancestral karma was coming up so much intensely. And one of the messages that I have gotten was that it's important to have gratitude and love in every problem that you encounter, especially right now. It's a huge shift happening. So I think we're going, there's so many waves of spiritual awakening, right? But I feel like we're going through a spiritual awakening right now where there's a lot of people that are like really mass awakening, and they're under it's like really hard to understand, but right now it's getting easier, especially the more people awakening, we have more resources out there. And one of the things that I wanted to demystify was the pain and struggle when it comes to spiritually awakening, and not to have fear over having different opinions or even coming out on camera and speaking your truth. So I there was this one thing where I found myself struggling in the beginning of my spiritual awakening was imposter syndrome. So I found that I was like the leader of my family and I had to do everything to like help everyone out. And in the beginning, I found myself I really needed to help my ancestors. Like it was so huge. Like something in my family lineage is I don't want to be that person to always be stuck or take the role. So then I found myself doing ancestor healing. And from there, that ancestor healing led to, you know, a lot of freedom towards like awakening my gifts and awakening a lot of the love within my family coming together, like that black sheep of the family. I'm pretty sure a lot of like spiritual people go through this, but they're like the black sheep. They're like they don't know their purpose in life and they're like lost, and they tend to lose their love. And some people grew from religion, and just that structure institution of religion is like it's a lot of rules, and it's a lot of you can't do this, you have to dress up for God, you have to et cetera, because I grew up in the Catholic religion, and many people like they have different religions, but there's a lot of structure and rules in somebody telling you what God was saying. So when we say God of love, that's the way I heard that one time, and it was so clear and beautiful, that message, that it was like God doesn't want you to dress up for, you know, him, her, him, them. Like you decide, like if it's God, the universe, source, goddess, but it's still the one creator of love. That is how we should be presenting ourselves to the world. Um, we should be showing love to our community, love to everything that surrounds us as a whole, because that's the message I get. Wholeness is something like a bunch of circles would be coming out so much in my messages. So I think of it as like the Wheel of Fortune in tarot too, where it's we have to love every part of ourselves, which is like the shadow side and the positive side.
Yeah,
So
and
mhm,
me and you, I just wanted to interject here because it's something
yeah,
we spoke about prior to today, which was very powerful. And I want you to share it with our audience. I love to share. I'm not greedy. So I want Juliana to share something she had shared with me briefly, and that is the concept of love as one. The concept of love as one relative to God of love, and how this influences our relationships and spiritual connections.
yeah, exactly. So when it comes to love, I feel it. So like our body, it functions. One of our main important things is our heart. I feel that like where that's like I'm like thinking like the powerhouse of the cell. But it's like your powerhouse. Like it's something that pumps blood. It does a lot for you. This heart of yours can like lead to heart murmurs or heart trauma and all of these things, but it's what makes you you. So when you show love to yourself and you show that self love to yourself, because that's what it begins, like that love within you that will awaken gifts, that will awaken your manifestations, like law of attraction starts working. Because I feel that a lot of people lose themselves within spiritually awakening, or they're like, I want this and this, X, Y, and Z, all of these materialistic things. But when you come from a place of love, or you start healing your heart chakra, which is, I would say, one of the most important things, the heart chakra, I feel that the heart chakra should come first when it comes to healing. And then you'll find that different parts of your chakras start coming out, like your solar plexus, your third eye, your crown, and etc. But I feel that when you come from a place of love, and you start healing your heart chakra, you start that self-love journey. And that's when you awaken so much more, and you start to realize that as one, you know, you start appreciating every little detail in your life. You start to see, everything as one, where it's like everything that spirit's showing you is a message. So when you see someone trigger you, it's a message for you to shift something, so for you to heal that trigger. And you start to see the world differently, where it's like um, nothing really bothers you. And of course, we're only human, so I'm not going to be so hard on you and be like, you can't feel anything. You have to, like, it's just love and patience. Because, like, I feel like God made us human so that we can have this human experience of a bunch of emotions. And it's only normal to have an ego, and I don't think that we should dissolve our ego completely, because that's part of us. But there is an ego in there of
Yeah.
self-limiting beliefs.
Ego has created some of the most incredible artists, some of the most incredible products.
Yeah.
Ego has created a lot. So, anyone thinking of dissolving their ego, I mean, if that's what floats your boat, by all means, this is your journey, go for it. But you need to research what ego can achieve when channeled in the right direction. But I want us to go back a little bit
Yeah.
to the religious aspect of things that you were talking about, because you were talking about the rules, how to dress, how to speak, how to behave, this and this, all these different boxes that you're placed in when you're in religion and relative to religious trauma, right? And I'd like you to walk us through how can religious trauma impact someone's individual personal journey, you know And what steps can people take to heal this trauma so that they don't throw the baby out with the bathwater? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question. So, religion, I feel like I'm not going to completely diss on religion because there is some truth to the scriptures. There's a lot of truth to the Bible and like very different because every religion has their own book of different scriptures of what they found in back in the day. I'm like zoning out on like the but anyways, they there's a lot of like scripture that you can use to heal yourself because there's truth. There's some that has been, you know, manipulated to
Yeah, and
heal,
some
to
books
show
have
up
been
here.
omitted from all books. All books are incomplete. So, yeah.
Exactly. So only takes what. So that's what you're gonna do. So you're gonna take what resonates as you heal yourself, because you
Mhm.
you start to use discernment, and you start to feel like, I don't agree with that, or I agree with this. So with religion, I feel that there was a lot of fear. Like it's very fear based, where it's like, it's my way or no way. So there's like a very high ego when it comes to, they make one person in charge of a whole community. And then there's like structure, it's very like structural hierarchy. When the only hierarchy that should be is just God, like it's number one. And then you have your spirit guides, then you have your gods and goddesses that God places in the world to help you out in this spiritual journey. And then you have your spiritual mentors. But at the end of the day, all as human, we shouldn't practice idealism or like that person is so much better and they have their life together, put them in a pedestal. That's not how we're all only human. We all go through struggles in life. We're all technically the same. What we appear in camera or how we appear in person may be different from how we are like behind the scenes even. And I won't speak for a priest or pastor, but anyways, so one thing that I see that religion does is a lot of like fear and like separation from, and from my own understanding and like personal growing up with religion is a lot of like judgment. It's supposed to help you with judging people, but I found that you tend like there's a lot of in my community or family that we tend to judge each other and we start talking bad about each other right after church. So that was one thing where I was like, I really loved like when they spoke about God. Like I love the little like Bible studies that they have, like any like Mary, like still with me, Virgin Mary. Like there's a lot of like spirit guys like Saint Michael, but anywho, there etc. Right? Well, we know what
Yeah.
trauma has done to us, and so when somebody says Lord, the Lord or God, um, or praying and trusting faith, it tends to bring a lot of trauma to people because depending on how they grew up or what they were taught or that fear, like it continues with them. And so what I feel when it comes to like God, like from the beginning, like I said, that it's from what I speak of, it's not that God of fear and judgment and rules. I speak of the God of love that loves everybody.
Yeah. And
And I
the
think
church says something very interesting, that God is within you. The power of God lives within you. The Bible also says that you are the church. It says a lot of things, a lot of powerful statements in the Bible that can actually give you clues as
yeah,
to directions to go. You know what I mean? It's not, Juliana is not making up this stuff. It's literally in the Bible. There's a whole book on the different aspects of love. I think it's called the Beatitudes. I'm not sure, but there's pages long on love is this and love is that. And if you actually read laundry list of what love is and isn't, then you actually will, look different. You'll kind of, shake your head when people say, I love you. And then you watch their actions, because the laundry list of, what love actually is. It's a laundry list, not one thing. That's why we talk about different aspects of love. And as you were talking in the beginning, you talked about the ancestral karma, and how you were starting to recognize certain patterns and how it was shaping, the lives of your family members, of yourself, and of how people interacted within, not just your family, but in general. Everyone knows what Juliana is talking about. The ancestral karma will affect how people interact with each other, how people go about their lives. And you said that you were trying to kind of, shuck and jive and dodge it, but it kept coming back, right? And walk us through how you finally were able to break free from these negative patterns. And I use negative for lack of better words, because that too is relative, but how you were able to break free from these patterns that are passed down through generations. And if you could also touch on the concept of epigenetics, because that too is real.
Mhm. So I, as I'm like looking at my ancestor altar when I look up, but so with my ancestors, I found that like I ran away from the Catholic Church. Like I just completely went through just my own thing. And I got sick in the middle of everything. And then my sister out of nowhere comes over and she's just like, you should see, because this is the, I'm talking about before I found my ancestors and altars work and everything. But my sister was like, you should see this, you should see this, like spiritual person, like I would say witch and everything, hoodoo, like she's a hoodoo practitioner, and um and I love her. She's like also one of my spiritual mothers, but she I felt this drawn to her, and then I just kept thinking of like my family, like the like I want to break this cycle, this generational cycle, like because you know how we think of it, like I went to college, so I was like first gen of everything, like to break every type of cycle. But I was like, I don't want it to just be me. Like I want this to continue, even for like everyone of all my family, no matter if they judged us, did us dirty, but like that is truly what I felt in my heart. Like and so then I talked to you know, my teacher, my mentor, and she was like, yeah, your ancestors have been waiting for you. There's been a long line of them. And I think like you will know that it's time for you to heal your ancestors.
How
And
will we know?
I feel that, yeah, that's a good question. I I kept thinking of like some things that would come up for me was I want to change. I want to help change my family. I want to help change this. I want to be like this I want to change this karmic cycle. And it all comes with like again the term first generation, but like that's what would come out so much like in my head in the beginning, where it's like I'm tired of seeing my family and like repetitive cycles of what I do, and that and then this conversation also leads to like cycles of your inner child, teenager, and adult life, but from the ancestor, that karmic lifestyle, I felt that I would be observant of like my mom, the way she would be.
Mhm.
You would see your mom and you would see like the way she was treated as her from her mom, and then how the way she's treating us and my dad especially, and you start to see that pattern and you're like, I don't want to be like that. Like I don't want to I want to come from a place of love and and non-judgment. So then you start to realize like there's something going on here. So then you find out ancestor work, because a lot of like I see it in a way too, like as I'm channeling, like we chose to be here, right? As like star seeds or like people to change the world, spiritual like leaders of the earth. of Mother Gaia. So
We're gonna
you,
get into that.
yeah.
To bring that up. Got me going. Because yeah, go on, finish it.
Yeah.
Keep
So,
going with
oh my
that.
God, I'm like over here like so excited. So and so we're I'm pretty sure people watching this are like legit spiritual leaders. If you don't know it, you are one. Um,
Everybody is. If you're on
everybody.
this earth, you are. So,
We're all of us are supposed to be at this, like, which we're getting there. We're demystifying everything, but we're helping everybody at this point, like get to where we're at. Like everyone is a spiritual leader. Everyone should be vibrating highly and positively. Um, but the whole thing with ancestor is that you come to this world, you know, you choose to come to this world again. Like, either you sign a contract, soul contracts and all that, where you're like, I want to help everybody vibrate highly, and I want Earth, I want to help those people ascend. Or you just reincarnate into this world as a human, and you know the soul path you chose to go through. You know what your purpose is, but you don't know, like, you know before that you chose this, and then you get born and you forget everything. So now your mission is to reawaken, like go through all that traumatic experiences in your past, and then now you know that your purpose is to like awaken and like help your family, and or some people don't choose to do that. Like, I'm not gonna be throwing myself like people out there like, oh, ancestor healing, but for me, that is what helped me heal karmic like cycles, because a lot of it came from the woman in my family, the men in my family. It's like womb healing comes up too right now as I speak. It's like,
mm.
yeah. You were gonna say something though?
I was going to say something because I remembered something when you said that. I had a really fascinating interview with a lady called Malens. And she said something very profound, which stuck with me. She said, we heal this earth by healing the womb.
It's beautiful.
Because everything comes through the womb. Everyone comes through the womb. She
That's so.
said that is the key. We heal this earth by healing the womb. Otherwise, everything coming through is unhealed, incomplete, trauma, everything. The mother, the womb, she's bringing it all in.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That's
Yeah.
like, ooh, because
Yes, that was a very powerful thing she said, and it stuck with me. And every time, when I hear people talking about healing and mother, that's why she's called Mother Earth. you know
yeah.
and we should jump into that because you have the most incredible background, right? Your Mayan background, your genetic mother, I could go on and on about that aspect of things, but I want you to walk us through your work with let's just say helping and supporting Mother
Mhm.
Gaia, right? And how you're using your genetic um, disposition, your genetics, your background, your Mayan genetics and background, which comes with, of course, an archive of information and knowledge, right, which is encoded within you. How are you using this to help her during this time? And we know what's going on, right? So go ahead.
Yeah. So, my mom is Mayan, and she practices Mayan ceremonies, and, a lot of like tobacco cleansings and offerings to earth. And I have, and she has like also gifted me a shamanic drum. So in the beginning, I didn't use it. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. And like, it was collecting dust and it was there. But I found that, with the ancestor work, you start to realize like you want to connect back with your roots. You want to connect back to where you come from, and like that's where it all begins. So, and also speaking about that, because what's coming up for me too is that it's not just about your blood lineage right now. Like, I'm thinking like it's like past lives are also ancestors, like your galactic family, it's like also ancestors. So if you feel called to certain work, like I do Kundalini yoga, and it's like something that's just like, and I feel called to Buddhism sometimes, like where I like have my little medicine Buddha right there, and it's just like you feel such a strong call to certain things, and that's because of your ancestors and your like in your past lives. Um, but anyways, with how I grew up here, it's like I find that Mother Earth heals me. I give offerings, when I can, and with like tobacco or mugwort. I've been like because I have another beautiful spiritual mother mentor, but she has guided me too with healing through earth, and this is something that like I need, I struggle with too. So I'm gonna be like real and transparent. But grounding work is so important for us too, where we put our feet in the soil or even walk through earth. Even playing music through the drum is beautiful. Like that's one way to connect with earth as the heartbeat and the heartbeat of earth. And there's one thing too where it's like also your menstrual cycle. Like you can heal Mother Earth through that too. Uh, I don't know, maybe, well, it should be everybody. But like as a woman, like I actually like love like when like my cycle comes in. I feel like it's a beautiful moment to heal. Like I think that's how I see it.
A lot of
With
women have been taught to hate their menstrual cycle.
Mhm.
It's demonized, and it's made to seem unclean in some cultures. I remember many years back, when we were on Her Story too, we did a show on menstruation and the taboos. We did a whole show on taboos of menstruation. It was incredible how many cultures to date would make women go and sit in a hut somewhere when they're menstruating. Some women cannot enter the kitchen and touch food. And, there's a lot of taboos and stereotyping and shunning of a woman when she's menstruating, and it's quite interesting because it's a natural, it happens, it's part of her, it's her life, but in some societies, women have to go they go through some really, yeah,
Mhm.
horrific experiences, so I can understand if those women don't think it's a beautiful thing because of, again, the trauma and how they're treated, and they're like, oh, it's that month again, I gotta go to the hut, so they don't know that they are actually coding their body with a negative connection to the menstruation subconsciously, but the culture, the traditions are actually responsible for that. So it's good that you brought that up because there's some women who are listening who might think of what you said as, menstruation is a beautiful thing, as, they might think of it differently, but, I'd like to invite you to consider what she's saying because maybe your culture, your traditions, the trauma, how you were treated might have influenced how you relate to menstruation. Of course, there are also health aspects of it that could also influence how you relate to menstruation. But that's a really it's a really valuable input that you shared that. I think it's so important, especially a time as
Mhm.
now. And
Yeah.
to our listeners, today is April the Fast. So we've been a little bit naughty. Because some of you may call it April Fool's Day. And some of you may call it New Year.
Oh my
But
god.
as we were having a little chitty chat, we were being naughty. Myself and Yuliana were having a little chuckle about today. And Yuliana mentioned something very interesting, and that is the new year, using the new year, which begins today in our world, to transform. So, Juliana, can you explain the significance of April the 1st as the new year of transformation, and how we can harness this beautiful, whatever is going on in this beautiful day. And I say harness because I know you're going to go into some really interesting stuff, right?
It's just as I talk,
That's why I'm saying how we can harness this
I feel
for,
it.
for transformation. And I might add, because I know I have a little bit of an insight into some of the things she shared with me, and renewal.
Yeah. Like it's just I talk and then I feel like, oh, but remember to say this, remember to say that, and I'm like, okay. But um anywho, so April 1st, technically the spring equinox would have been considered like the astrological new year in Aries. When Aries came up, that was the astrological new year. I do feel like April 1st is going to be very healing for a lot of people. A new year in a way where everybody's gonna start to get their stuff together. They're gonna they're gonna start to really dig deep down into their shadows because it's so I was like meditating yesterday and like thinking this morning, how is it in spring equinox, like, and everything, you're like, I'm ready. I'm ready to get back in because Pisces season was so dreamy and like it got you so like I didn't want to do anything. I didn't do anything honestly. I was like super into like my imposter syndrome. I don't know what I was gonna say. And then Aries, I was like I have like epiphanies and everything, but and and then now that you're so excited and then they're like spirits like hold the brakes, like they put the brakes on you because look, we have Mercury retrograde
Hmm.
and we have the solar eclipse.
Explain Mercury retrograde, because I think that is something that needs explaining. Because people just say it's Mercury retrograde, it's bad luck. Computers, technology is going bad. But I don't think there's anything that is just one way.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
can't all just be one way? There must be another aspect of it?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So exactly, like demystifying, that fear against Mercury retrograde and the eclipses. Like, there's been so much. So, first, we'll talk about Mercury retrograde, but like, there's so much fear towards Mercury retrograde. Like, nobody wants to plan anything, nobody wants to do anything. Everyone just wants to stay cooped in and nap during Mercury retrograde. But I feel like it's very beautiful when these moments come because, like, they may kick us in our butts, but at the end of the day, you come out a different person. That's why we reflect on our past and we're like, you know what? That thing made me different. Like that really um, guided me to who I am today. And that's how you should see Mercury retrograde. It's like right now it's hard. Right now, spirit's like, you know, your parent telling you what to do. And you may like feel like, God is after me, or like the universe isn't really working with me. But the thing is that they're doing that on purpose so that you can get your life together. And basically Mercury retrograde is a lot of miscommunication, a lot of patience needed, travel delays, that's what it's known for, like technology, but there's more to it where I'm feeling, especially with what's aligning right now and what we're talking about. Um, I feel like this month is going to be a lot of like looking back at your past. It's a lot of like reminiscing and like really going to be hard on you especially people coming back into your lives. So remember why they left. Remember why you were thinking about, maybe this person shouldn't be my friend, or maybe I should break up with this some person, or maybe like and Mercury retrograde is known for like exes coming back into your life. So it's a lot of like really like staying true to who you are and why that relationship ended. Don't give in to like I need attention. Like I don't want to say I need attention. This, but like you are like amazing the way you are, and you heal on your own. Is what I feel with this Mercury retrograde, where it's like a lot of it's not healing on your own, but like you choose like mentors and resources to help you too. But I feel that Mercury retrograde right now in this month is a lot of reflection and a lot of reminiscing, but realizing the past is the past. And right now we're in the present because today's as God's present. Is not how I saw it, like to us. So that's what I feel about Mercury retrograde.
And how long is it going to be? So it's go all how many days does this
I believe it's the 25th is the last day. Uh,
25th of April. So
mhm,
the eclipse
April
is
1st.
going to be in retrograde as well.
This whole month. Yeah.
What do you
So
think about it, this eclipse thing?
yeah, so this eclipse, oh man, like this eclipse, if you haven't already cried, like you will soon. But I don't mean it in the fear mongering way. It's nothing to fear. I think crying is a beautiful thing. I think purging is a beautiful thing. I think shadow work, inner child work, it's like so scary to a lot of people. But it's like it's an amazing experience to just like rebirth and transform. And that's what an eclipse is all about, transformation and like phoenix rising from the ashes. um
Mhm.
that's how I see the eclipse, where it's like a moment. So this is coming up right now. You know how we just went through Easter, and that's
Mm.
Jesus resurrection. So we are,
Well, Easter is many things. It has
yeah, and I know that sounded so like this is
Hera and Ishtar and Astarte. You know, it has a lot to do with, yeah.
yeah,
And bunnies lay eggs, right? So
yeah, Chinese. So
rabbits lay eggs.
yeah, that's another thing, like
Yeah,
rabbits
it
coming up
has to
with.
do with fertility, and we could do a whole show on Easter and what it means because it's a really incredible holiday, but not what you have been taught. But that would be a fun show. Yeah,
Yeah.
for another day for other people.
I know there's so much to talk about. Like it's so
Go.
amazing.
Yeah. So you were saying we just left Easter. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So some messages that go along with that is like, like Jesus died on basically Friday. So it's not just like I'm saying this is what happened and this is what you should believe on,
Yeah.
but I'm going based off of the messages that I'm getting, that
Yeah.
it's a lot of endings happening. Like I'm going to be transparent and real with you because I want to be real with everybody, but I literally cried so much like 2 days ago because I had a dream of a death. And
You had a
now
dream of what?
a death, like death
Oh,
of
okay.
like someone very close to me,
Okay.
and but like they're very much alive. Like they just they're fine, but that dream triggered so many emotions, and that's what I feel like spirit is doing. Like it's like they're gonna be showing you different triggers and different like people in your life to trigger you and to like help you heal some things that you felt like you were fine. But and then that's another topic, right, in itself, death, right, and why we should accept death. But that is a fear that I have, like, and one of my teachers, her name is Zoe, but she's messaged me and she's just like, just remember, like, this, we have put a lot of fear towards death, and we should be celebrating death compared to like celebrating a birth, because like both ways, they're beautiful, but in this world is hard. This world is hard, so we should celebrate fear. Oh my gosh, we should celebrate somebody exiting this matrix to like, oh my god, they're ascending and they're gonna like, that's what we should celebrate
I like
in
it.
the funeral. Like
And
they made it, they made
yeah,
it.
yeah, and you know, Yuliana is not saying something that is foreign to me because I know many cultures in Africa, okay, that when you die, it's a big party. They party for weeks. It's a week-long party, literally a party. So if you went to the funeral, you'd be like, and you are maybe a Westerner, you'd be like, what is going on here? Because there's music and people are partying. You know, it's like they threw a party for the person leaving. And it seems strange to other cultures, but they're cultures that celebrate you um moving on, you know. So it's not, I'm familiar with those cultures, but I understand that there's some people who might think it's a very different you know
Yeah,
approach to what we call death. And again, everything is learned. We were taught what death is.
Yeah.
But different cultures see things differently. It's just like birth. We were taught what birth means. Just like birthdays. A lot of the indigenous people, they don't celebrate birthdays. They don't know their ages. It's something
Mhm.
they don't do. So, you could be telling somebody who's 110, you would never know because she's not counting. you know,
Right.
they didn't have birth certificates. They they're just born and just living life. And this is real what I'm telling you. There's a lot of cultures in Asia and in Africa that they don't know their age.
Yeah.
And even if you watched the National Geographic, way back in the days when they would go into these, very, tribes that were hidden somewhere, and they asked, "How old are you?" The women people are like, "How what?" Like what? So a lot of concepts that have shaped our lives are not the same across the world. So this is why we demystify things, and we invite you to, approach these topics with an open perspective, because, the same way you learn something, you can unlearn it, and learn something new, So I like your approach, because there are tribes and cultures who wouldn't find what you said strange at all when you said you should party and celebrate and say high five, you've gone to a better place. And even in the church, they say you've gone to a better place. So why do they say that?
I gotta go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So, mm,
so that's something we have to work within ourselves. That's a trigger. Like that's something that I had to accept. Like I was like literally, I think Saturday, Friday, I had the dream on Friday, which, was all about like death of Jesus and like, and then like the fear of like death. And I was journaling the whole day, like sobbing, crying, and then on Sunday, yesterday, I was so exhausted. But today I feel so rejuvenated. Like I'm like, ready. But that's
mm,
how take your time, is what I say when it comes to shadow work, especially in this eclipse. That's why the eclipse is there and the Mercury retrograde is there. Spirit gave you a break. Spirit's telling you to rest. It's okay. It's okay to slow down this month. Like you may have had all these ideas, like because I know I did in the beginning, like especially in the lunar month. But it's okay to slow down. It's okay to take your time, and nothing like God doesn't hate you. Spirit isn't doing this to like give you a hard time right now. It's to help you heal and to like um, more like give you a blessing and healing. Yeah, that's what I say.
yeah. And you seem to have a lot of knowledge of, about astrology, right? And maybe you can tell us what astrology can offer, or can astrology offer insights into our personalities, our relationships, you know, you know, our life, our life paths, um, or should we just believe it's woo stuff? Because these celestial bodies, people will tell, this is in alignment, and this is this, and this is this, and it's really foreign language to me, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right. No,
I'm being very honest here, but is it really,
so
is it
you know,
something we should take very seriously?
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna lie and tell you like I'm an expert right now and I'm an astrologer. Like I'm just getting into the topics of astrology. Like just like 2 years ago, I started going a little bit more into it. So when they say square and trine and direct, like I'm also the same as you. What I do is shuffle cards and I get
Mhm,
the energy off of like what is happening.
mhm,
So, but I do feel that astrology has a huge like um can benefit someone a lot when it comes to healing
mhm,
because even whether you know it or not, like let's say you don't believe in astrology and like for example somebody out there, a lot of things that happen in your life align so well with astrology, it's crazy. So it's like more of like the way I see astrology is like tarot reading, where it's like it won't predict your future entirely, but it can help you like navigate your life and maybe change an outcome that could have been worse. So
So using understanding the how the celestial bodies move and work and how astrology, you know,
yeah, yeah.
plays a
So
role in your life.
yeah. So healing yourself. So there's, you know how you have your, I don't know if you know this part, but like you can look at, and then I give this resource, but you can go on astro.com and you can put in your birth year and all of that stuff. And you can find your sun, moon, and rising, and then Venus, Mercury, et cetera, et cetera. And you can use that, your chart, to heal yourself. You could be like, okay, like,
Can you use that chart for other things other than healing? Just
no, yeah, you could use it for everything. So like
mm,
Venus is love. So what how you love yourself, how you show love to others. Mercury is how you learn. Let's see, Mars is like your passion and like and sometimes anger. Jupiter's your prosperity, how you're going to make money. That's like how you're, people use astrology for like your soul mission and your soul purpose if you're lost. Um,
mm.
so there's so I definitely recommend like speaking with an astrologer if you want to really get deep into like your, like if you want to use astrology and that's what's calling to you, like that's, yeah. Like I'm learning, but I'm not like, I can't really, I can read cards for you and tell you like that's what I do. But astrology like that, like, oh man, I give respect to those people because I'm learning and I'm always like, oh my head.
And I think that's why everyone has their thing. You know, we all came
Yes.
with a unique purpose. And if
Mhm.
you're listening to this, you don't have to pay no mind to astrology if it's not your thing. There are
Yeah.
other ways to navigate life, you know. Do whatever floats your boat because you will really know what your purpose is by your calling, like you said, and the things that are drawn to you. And also, I think, Juliana, the things that irritate you the most, I've learned, are also your calling. You know what I mean? Because
Excellent.
they keep pulling your attention, you know, grabbing your attention, kind of to, nudge you into looking at this. You know, it has usually that also offers some clues. What do
That's
you
so
think?
true. No, no, that is like kind of like that was like a was mind blown with what she said and inspiration because I actually I got into ancestral healing in the beginning, but what I did first was move like 6 hours away from my family because I couldn't stand them. And like I was like, let me see, the more I get away from them, the better life will be. But ooh, Kim, everybody came through. The ancestors are like my family. Like I'm more connected with my family now than I ever was, in my whole life. So you're right when you say there's some things that like you find hate or like, something triggers you or you find sadness is like, spirits really like pointing that to you.
Yeah, and I'm saying this because I hear the message out there about, positive, feel good. And if you feel good about it, if it makes you feel good, it's for you. And I'm thinking, there's other things also that are for you that may not feel good, but there are gems in there. You just have to walk through. You know how they say you walk through the tunnel and then you come into the light. You have to go through the tunnel and so don't ignore the things that make you uncomfortable because sometimes that too is a message. There's messages in everything. There are no coincidences. You don't meet anyone by chance. Usually there is a reason. um and Juliana, thank you so much for joining us today. I have had an incredibly fun time learning all these different concepts and perspectives, and thank you for demystifying some very heavy topics. you know, I know when people hear ancestral karma, they'll be like, "Ooh," the church they call it generational curses and ancestral, um, curses and things like that. But um, do you want to share anything about that before we leave? Because I know you're a woman of faith as well. You didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I know all kinds of people will be listening to this. So maybe you have something to share from a different perspective.
Guidance towards. So if you're if you're feeling called towards ancestral healing, you know, your ancestors are always with you, your spirit guides are always with you. So I think right now it's just to, you can call support towards them, you know. I feel that, like, asking for protection from your angels or spirit guides or whoever you feel called to. And if you're still lost, like, you know, you have so much support system. Like you can contact, I mean, I don't want to put your name out there, but you could contact us, you know, if you ever feel like lost in the spiritual journey. You know, I have my information down there, but
Yes, yes, yes. Juliana, thank you for reminding me. I must add that all Juliana's information is in the description. Everything, the links, her work, how she can support you, how you can support each other, because everything is a two-way street, and it's all in there. So feel free to take a look and see what resonates and what speaks to you and what touches you, and then you can you should connect with her if you feel called to do so. She's doing incredible work um, at a time such as now. And those who know what is going on out there in this big universal soul, okay, know that the work she's doing is very much needed at this time. So, Juliana, we've put everything in the description. And, to our listeners, we do that for all our guests because we do you a service by not going into their 10 pages of resumes, okay?
and
Because we like to go straight into the share.
can
Yes.
I speak a little bit on like the resources just really quickly?
Yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
so people are not just like, what is this? But the alchemy of self-love is something that all the resources that I provide are people that I trust. Like my mentors and teachers have put their love and they have a lot of faith and like I don't just put anyone's word, but like my teacher Zoe, she made this alchemy of self-love, and it's like really helping you with kundalini yoga and meditation that really supported me when I was struggling. And you know, that's a conversation of another time, but like that's huge help. That if you feel called to it, like you know, what Faith is saying, then you could look at that. There's also a journal that my other mentor did that she's is a shadow work journal. I was called to put that there too. So if you feel like you want a book that gives you questions because you don't know where to start, you can start with that. I also, if you don't have the finances, like right now, I provided some questions that can support you in this journey right now as we um, just simple paper and book. And and if you don't know how to heal, like you just write down. I'm very true in journaling. Like that is how I heal, journaling and writing my emotions and crying it and then putting it in my altar or asking my spirit guides to help me as I'm like writing it down. So I provided questions that can support you in that journey and also everyday journaling if that's what you want to do. Um, I think that is it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing the work that you do. It's so much needed, and just thank you. And I know the mother thanks you as well. I had when I was talking to one of the previous guests, and we will not go into this because this will be a whole other show, but we briefly touched on the different names of the mother, because I was like, why do we call her Gaia? Because I know some people call her Tara and some people call her Tiamat, and there's so many different names for her. So I don't know if you have the answers to this, because I will ask everybody who's working with a mother why they pick the name Gaia. Why do you pick the name Gaia and not Tara or Tiamat or all the other beautiful names that others prefer?
So what I'm hearing is like the way I feel that Mother Gaia, the way like how we say, um, I think it's how it resonates with you because you know I feel that because the way I see like God, the source, the universe, the way I see it, but it's still like that one, and I feel like Mama Gaia, like she supports everybody. So like I don't, so I feel that it depends on how you resonate with her love with Earth is how she'll appear to you. That's what I feel.
Hmm. So that's why
So,
people pick different names. It's how she shows.
because one of my other mentors, she taught me shamanic drumming. She recognizes as Pachamama, and
Pachamama.
Pachamama, and like Gaia and Mother Gaia. So it's like it there's no right or wrong way. I would say it's just kind of like how it resonates with you. I think
Mm-hmm.
that she has multiple names because of how long she's been here, you know? Um, that's how I see it. Where
Mm-hmm.
and I think each itself has their own like a spirit and benefit. Because
Mm-hmm.
this world is so like there's no like this world is so infinite. Like
Yeah, it is. It's
I
complex.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
interesting because I
Thank
know
you.
her as Mama Gaia. Yeah, yeah. So thank you.
No, absolutely. Funny. Many people use Gaia, many people use tarot. And now I learned one. Mama Pacha, you said?
Pachamama.
Pacha Mama, I've learned a new one to add to the list.
Yeah.
To demystify further. Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming and sharing with us. We really appreciate you and we wish you so much love and in your journey. If there's anything you want to share before we head out, I'll let you have the last word.
Um, just love you all, and you know that you have our support no matter what. So I'm excited to see what this new what we get out of this. I'm excited. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much. So, to all our listeners, thank you for stopping by. And remember to go to the description section and take a look at her work, reach out and connect with her on all her different platforms and show her some love. She's doing work for all of us. This is not a selfish kind of work. It's actually a very selfless, noble kind of work. So thank you so much, Juliana, and all our listeners. Until next time, goodbye.